Motion also moved to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Approval of the minutes from January 9th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second that.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. First item on the agenda is to go into closed session for Iowa Code Section 20.17 union negotiations.
We need a motion. I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
It's been a motion and a second. Roll call. Houseman? Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Miners.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Sorry, I'm like, I was looking at him going, what's his last name?
I want to hit that on mic.
Scott, I should know it.
Very,
All right, we are back. Live. We came out of closed session and there was no official decision made. And we will retake this discussion up probably next Monday as far as union negotiations.
Here's a bill for next time.
Oh, thanks. Is that all I had to do?
Yep, no action taken.
Okay.
Yeah, here you can add this one back to it.
Found it.
Thank you.
You feel the heat walking in this room?
No.
You look like the other side of the pillow, more like.
Mike, how's it going?
Good. Good. How's everybody doing?
Good. I want to apologize to everybody here. That took a little bit longer than what it was expected, but so I do apologize. We'll wait for Scott to get back, but we are going to move on to item number 2. Stables for JED fiscal year 24 funding request. Good morning. So if you want to wait a second, Scott will come in and you can actually, if you want, you can sit up here or you can pull up a chair too. And while we're waiting on Scott, what I can do is, so how this process works, since this is your guys' first time being to the county asking for funding requests, we're just starting our budget season. Right. So we take, so like, here's our file of nonprofits requests. We'll add it to this file, and then when we get into the budget season, we'll really talk about it, and then whatever decision comes, Courtney or one of us will reach out to you guys and let you know. Sounds good. But once Scott gets in here, we'll go ahead and have you guys start your presentation. All right, go ahead. If you want to, we can do introductions. Let's do that. Sure.
I'm Robert, first one, is my wife Megan.
Okay.
Gene Miners.
Steph-
Supervisor.
Yep, Stephanie Hausman, supervisor.
Scott Johnson, supervisor.
Mike Anderson, supervisor.
Did you say yours on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to start?
Sure. Everybody kind of knows their background. We're not gonna hash on that too much, but we will give you a handout.
Yep.
You guys might have seen it online. You probably read about it in the paper already. This is kind of what we have proposed. We are an official nonprofit. We are going after that initial money to get this facility built. Because we know that across the state of Iowa, mental health is drowning, like we are not getting the services met. We have reached out to several people regarding this aspect, whether it's therapists. Jean Hayden serves on a Rolling Hills committee. She knows how detrimental this is because the Iowans are not getting served. There's a lack of services, and going through what we went through, we know there's a lack. We walked it, we know what it is, and we're adding a unique flair to it by adding the equestrian to it. So that's kind of what our nonprofit is. You're more than welcome to read through that, but it gives kind of everything that we're looking at. This is our focused strategic plan that we kind of came up with too, as to why it's unique, what our projected outcomes are, how it's going to benefit not only our communities, but the state. We've done a ton of research as to how this could help, where there are other facilities that are kind of like this. And with what we are wanting to focus in on, we would be the only facility that looks at grief and loss. A lot of the other equestrian places primarily, well, they don't even primarily, they have an array of services that they look at. We want to be one where you can come here and get these specialized services by mental health providers that are trained in this field. I mean, we just last night that we were looking at places in the even countrywide that provide this, and we only came up with 3.
3 of them, yeah, there's one in New Jersey, one in Florida, and
One in
one in Colorado that are just horses and grief. So, I mean, that would be pretty specific, I guess. For our facility.
So this is an additional handout too, that kind of looks at the research of different locations like ours. The closest one that we have is Timber Creek, and they don't do any therapy. What they do is OT, PT, speech. They are more on the physical side in the speech component. They used to do grief counseling and counseling services. They couldn't keep up with it. They had such a demand, they couldn't keep up with it. So they ended up dropping that and going primarily to the OT, PT, and speech components.
And she's been really great with helping us on all of this, and again, went and checked out her facility, and yeah, she's been answering any questions we have.
Yeah. So you were just,
The one on there that's probably the closest to what we're looking to do, it'd be Midway and North Carroll.
but again, they do a
They do a
variety.
variety.
They don't focus in,
Which one did you say, Midway?
Yeah, number 7.
Number 7.
and we've tried to call, we've tried to reach out to them, no response. Which we're finding that with a lot of these facilities, when we try to call and reach out, nobody responds.
Well,
Which
they
is
might
kind
be
of
short
weird.
staffed, you know.
Yeah.
It's Where everybody's at is.
And this is located,
North Carolina.
Where would this be from?
no, I meant your facility.
Oh, ours would be in Maine.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
In town or is it?
No, but on, in
That would be,
the country.
Yeah.
So we are literally a mile off of 141 and we are on the line of Crawford and Carroll. We have a Manning address, but we have a Crawford County.
Yeah, they're actually a mile west of Asphalt 141 and a mile south.
Yeah, he knew my dad really well, so.
I think some of us know.
Patty already donated the 5 acres to the
So
facility. So we already
everything
have the
has to be
ground situated.
separate. So the nonprofit is not tied to our ground, it's not tied to anything of us, it's all in the nonprofit's name. That's how it has to be legally, but it is located right by our home place, but it's all been donated already. So if you look at our in-kinds already, we already have quite a bit, I'll hand it out to you guys, sorry. We have quite a bit of current in-kinds already with quite a bit of future in-kinds. Now, in just the last couple of days, we've already heard that the city of Manning would be happy to help in-kind donation wise when we go to build it for electrical
infrastructure.
they're like, when you get there and you are going after larger grants, we can tell you that we will give you X dollars to help build this. We've had people tell us that they will help with insulation, cement. I mean, like, it's endless for in-kind. The biggest thing that we're looking for right now is getting the cash up so that we can go after larger grants. We've already made contact with Becky Benami, which I'm sure you guys are probably aware of. She does all the grant writing. She's wonderful. She already said, hey, if you can get to 6 figures and above, come to me. I can go after those larger match grants. So right now, that's kind of where we're at. We have great in kind. Our cash flow that we've literally been open, I mean, it got posted without us even knowing it before we were ready. So within the last month,
Yeah.
we have a little bit more than this raised, probably 42,000 we're closer to. But like I said, the biggest push is hitting Crawford County, you guys, and trying to get over that 6 figure so that we can do a contract with Becky Benami and go after those larger match grants. And we have a list of grants that we really want to go after. And most of them are, you have to show sustainability and community input. Community, you know, that they want it, that they're supporting it, and that's why we're coming to you guys. So I think last week we hit, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, we hit Crawford County.
Yeah, on the 3rd meeting.
When you said Manning, were you talking Manning Utilities or the city of Manning?
Utility.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Yep. So we've got a lot of those things that are coming into play, but again, we can't use them until it's built. We've already had therapists reach out to us like, oh my gosh, this is 90% of my caseload. So like when we originally came up with this idea, we were going to do just loss in the loss of a loved one. And we've had counselors go, Megan, loss is so much more. You need to encompass what loss can really look like. And it can be loss of finances, loss,
Job,
Of a-
divorce.
yeah, kids going through a divorce. I've had Central Calhoun, their school district already reach out to me about this. So we're getting a lot of buzz and everybody wants it. It's just getting it built. What questions do you guys have?
So your ask from us is 50,000?
No.
I first and foremost want to thank you for coming to the board, and my deepest condolences to you and your family. I'm a friend of your brother, your brother.
Yeah.
And also know your father as well. So my deepest condolences to you. I think what you're doing is phenomenal. I think taking this initiative is fantastic, because not only dealing with your own grief, but trying to help other families in the future or current
Right.
to go through some of the things you guys have done. So I want to thank you for that. I think it's wonderful. And you are right, mental health is a huge issue, and it's going to continue to be a huge issue as we're running through different scenarios and roadblocks with the state right now.
It's a hard topic right now.
It is a very, very hard time.
And it's hard to find funding and it's hard to find the resources that.
And there's all levels of mental health, just like you said, why are you leaving it to just grief? Because there's You've got addiction, you've got suicide, you've got all these things that roll into mental health.
We got asked that question when we presented to Crawford County. Which one asked? Was it Ty? And yeah, PTS and veterans and all the other types. And we said, well, yeah, PTSD, you're gonna, when you go through a loss, you probably are gonna experience PTSD. Yes, that will be under our umbrella. But why are we doing loss and grief? That's what we know.
Yeah.
We're gonna focus on what we know.
Can't help
You
with
looked
that. Can't help with that. We don't know anything about.
Yep.
But
And
again,
again, we're not gonna turn people away if our facility and our therapy works for people, well, then great. And I mean, that's what it's here for.
Can I give you another outreach to maybe check
Yeah.
too? Have you guys reached out to Region 12?
Yeah.
Okay, have you worked with Chris Whitaker at all?
mhm.
Okay. Okay,
Problem is,
Can you read between the lines on that one? It was
Yep.
not much help.
Well, the problem is some of these things, like even with mental health, with the state forest stuff, they've got things that you can't cross the line with funding. It was just,
And we got asked that too. Well, usually when it comes to brick and mortar, it's harder to donate or not donate. It's harder to contribute to a fund like that. Instantly, my brother was like, you're not coming back for an annual thing. And I said, no, we're not. We are looking for a one-time type of funding, get us up. What we have for numbers projected, we can self-sustain it. I don't think this is gonna be something that we're gonna be coming back annually for. We need more money, we need more money. We have ran it, and looked at where our numbers are at. We can keep this with, insurance billing and that kind of service
And even with that, there are plenty of grants that are continue.
for salaries and
Yeah, for
budget
salaries
wise.
and expenses.
So that's
We're not
kind of where we're
planning
at
on coming
because
here every year to ask for
I don't
this.
know if I have a ton of these ones. Might have to make copies. This one kind of looks on the front and back is kind of how our breakdown is monthly and yearly of what we would need to sustain the facility.
Okay.
And what we have, I'm gonna kind of spread it out. What we have is, I feel like we'll be able to keep it sustainable by billing through insurances and keeping it operational that way. It's not something that I'm gonna be coming back to Carroll County and Crawford County on an annual basis. We should be able to be operational just like any Plains area or any other therapy facility that does it on their own as well.
and I will say typically, the Board of Supervisors, we don't get behind, pay increases or salaries, just
Yeah.
because that's not sustainable for
And
years
that's
going
not,
forward.
that's
So
not what we're.
this is a more of a brick and mortar, get up, get going, so you can get grant funding and have some.
Really, what we're looking at is getting over that six-figure mark, so we can get that contract with Becky Benami. And
Becky
show,
does do a phenomenal job.
She
She's done
does.
some
That's
great grant writing.
she was a great resource when we talked to her. It's just literally getting over that hump and showing a sustainable six-figure to say, hey, look, we have pull from Crawford, pull from Carroll County, that people are wanting this.
Yeah.
And
And we have, we've already done the Carroll County Foundation grant.
Crawford County.
And the Crawford County Foundation. grant.
Try Grow Green. Did you come to the, okay, so it's Community Foundation Board. Did you guys put in a grant for that? So there's, it's a Grow Green, money. And I think this is right. This is totally something
is it
that
this,
they would.
like, as long as we apply for the.
Yep.
then we're
So
fine.
there's a pool of money that specifically comes from a contiguous county from the casino, and they love projects like this.
Yep.
They love that lump sum, and when I was on that board, we had done like allocations for 5 years, so if we had that money, but I think a lot of those allocations are done now. It can be up to $45,000-$50,000.
Oh, that's not where you can put a request in at.
suggest-
But, I mean, just, I
That's
only
not-
know this because I sat on it for 6 years. and
I never saw that, all we saw was the Carroll County grant. Have you even saw that?
The
link
community
for-
foundation. So if you do that and you apply for it, it's just, so this board gets together and they decide where the money goes. And then one specific person, a nonprofit, gets that Grow Green money. So they'll come up, but now that I kind of still know about every board member, so you can bet that I will be putting in a recommendation.
Even if we shot it low?
Yeah.
Okay. We've reached out to Willing Hills too. That hasn't been great.
It was
Well-
a brick and mortar.
That's because of the way the funding is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that was a hard shot. Region 12 was, I mean, you name it, we've reached out. We have done our, on every.
I
possible.
suggested to you that also go out to this Iowa West, I think it is.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's the big grant that we want to hit, and that comes
After
up
the
in
6
May.
figures.
And
What
September.
it will do, if we can have half raised,
it'll.
it'll finish it out. So really, we want to hit that one by May or September. Prairie Meadows is my next one that's on our list too. But we have to have a good grant writer. Like I don't want to shoot myself in the foot with that one, but we can ask them for a decent amount too. 'Cause that's a huge one. So that's on our list. I mean, we have a list like super long of grants, but we have to show that we have something behind us. Now, I
And
don't
I don't
have,
wanna leave here thinking that we have this all figured out, like,
no,
it's a lifelong thing. This isn't like we have it figured out, this is pigeonholed, we can help everybody. This is gonna be for the specific people that it does. I mean. I don't want it to seem like we have a, we know exactly what to do to get through it. There's nothing you can do to get through it.
break it in the ground.
It's just to help.
there's a need, we just solve the need. And
I think.
you know,
this-
my family, you know that we're doers. And so when we solve the need, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I think, well, the only person here that might not understand one very well is probably. Her brother sits on Friday. He's a Crawford County Supervisor.
Okay.
People are-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
know,
I
know.
was gonna say, I think you know, I think. you
Yeah,
are,
so,
family.
and you'll get to know him this next week too, but, does anybody have any questions? I appreciate you guys coming in against the spirit.
Yeah.
Advances.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. We'll let you know when the decision's made.
Oh,
Later on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
If anything comes up, let us know.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for your time, guys.
All right, next item on the agenda is the sheriff quarterly report. Good morning, Mr. Pingree. How are you?
Good.
Good.
We got a copy of it? Make this brief. So for the months of October, November, and December. We took in. I'll just go to the total, $156,810, $156,810.92. And then after weapons permits were submitted to the state, we ended up with a total of $153,347.30 for the quarter. And the biggest part of that, of course, is room and board from our other county prisoners. That was $142,025 for the month, or for those 3 months.
I know you guys, and this is kind of off subject, but it's fresh to my memory, but I know you guys were doing a service with a company where they provided snacks.
Yeah, commissary,
Are you doing that now? Are you guys looking at
I'm still doing that.
doing it on your own?
We are.
You are.
Yep.
So Consolidated Services is gone.
No, Consolidated is still doing the cooking in the kitchen.
Okay.
We haven't made that transition quite yet.
But the snack services you guys have
And
taken
the
over.
snack service is through, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Want to say Reliance, that's not it. I'll think of it here. It's through a different company other than Consolidated. And we've talked about taking that over ourselves and just having the jail staff, a couple of them gone to Sam's Club and just offer like 20 items on commissary, things that we can buy in bulk at Sam's and then mark up and sell to the prisoners.
Well, I just figured that'd be another good way to make some profit.
Yeah,
No, jail's not
we're
meant
still,
to be
we
profit.
still make money off the commissary company we have. Just not as much as we would on our own.
And in housing the inmates from out of county, it's going well.
How much a night?
$65
$65
per person.
I watched a few of the transitions the other day.
And
That's like-
Calhoun County was set up at $50 a day initially. And I've talked to the sheriff there and he knows that that's getting raised as of July 1. So I told him us to plan on $65 a day per prisoner, starting July 1, so they can budget for it.
Have you had anybody else show any interest?
We house a few from Green now and then, but nobody has come to us about holding the prisoners long term. And I hope they don't. If I had my way, we just take Polk County prisoners alone, that'd be it.
because they're such good inmates.
Of course, you gotta set up that day. We get the cream on the crop.
It's working out well.
If there's a good way of saying that.
Consolidated, though, you did not renew the contract with them.
It's up April something.
Oh, okay.
So no, we're not going to.
Gotcha.
I need to talk to them about that. I'd like to end it sooner than later. So hopefully they're in agreement to that too.
Staffing issues still
For the kitchen,
for consolidated.
I think we've got that taken care of. So,
Okay.
any other questions for me about anything? We've got 3 vehicles that are ordered for this fiscal year. I don't think we're probably gonna see them.
That money expires.
I know, it's gone. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Don't worry, there's somebody else in the room that has a nightmare with,
He and I had plenty of time to talk outside.
yeah.
So.
Full
fingers
staff in the
crossed.
jail, full staff and sheriffs.
Yep, full staff,
Perfect.
everywhere.
How many you got in there right now?
Prisoners, 24 this morning,
What's the max capacity?
42, actually 55 or 52 actually, but
So,
then Polk County was supposed to bring us 15 last week and then that got knocked
8.
down to
The
8 or 9 and then they took a couple away. So it's just kind of hit and miss with
so
them.
how many we got here locally?
5.
So the rest are all.
Poker Calhoun.
Paying customers.
Yeah.
Well, they're all supposed to be paying customers.
Well, not ours until they're sentenced.
Right.
So, no, jail's going good. Can't complain.
Good.
Awesome.
Do we have any issues with any equipment
No,
in the jail?
not really.
Water softeners?
That's been fixed.
Oh, we did, all right.
Not really water softeners. Water heaters have all been replaced under warranty. Yeah, you guys have been down there. There's 3 water heaters, each of them's 300 gallons. And, we noticed that one was just running kind of loud, making a lot of noise. And so we had Grease come up here and they checked, well, it was the middle one of the 3 and it was the only one that had been working. The other 2 had quit after 8 hours
Wow.
of service on each one of them. They both quit. So that middle one was doing all the work. So it was about ready to blow up.
Wow.
So they came in and replaced all 3 of those. So knock on wood, they're running better. So
Server room's not overheating.
nope, server room's nice and cool.
Good.
No other than
Expensive
getting
room.
equipment, that just seems to be the biggest thing. Makes it tough. Not knowing, so. Anything else from me at all?
Nope.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're not doing the motion. Can I get a motion to approve the quarterly report?
I'll make a motion.
To approve.
I'll
for the
second.
report from sheriff.
There's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
What?
Opposed, motion carries. Morning, Zach. 4th item on the agenda is secondary roads. Approve resolution 2023-003. Improve segment of 340th Street from level C to a level A. You start there.
So we talked about this a couple months ago and went through the process. We approved the agreement with the Christensen's and what I did not do at that time was provide a resolution to actually reclassify that segment of road from level C to level A. So that's what this is today, is to officially, yes, classify that as a level A versus the level C. So I don't know if you have any questions on.
The amount was agreed to and you're just waiting for weather and you're gonna start
Right.
completion date, spring, late spring.
Late spring, early summer, I mean, we'll see what Mother Nature does for us, but that's our intent, is getting that accomplished. First thing the weather allows.
Is there a construction crew waiting for you to be done?
I know they're wanting to get started. I think they can get in and start doing their thing without the road being improved. I'm sure they'd like to have it in, have it done as soon as we can, and that's our intent. It's just a matter of what things we have on our plate versus what Mother Nature's willing to let us do.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-003. 23-003, the 340th Street to go from level C to level A.
I will second that.
Let's clarify, they are covering the expense of this transition. There's been a motion and a second. It's a roll call.
Estimate,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Miners,
Gene.
Miners,
Yes,
motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item is to approve resolution 2023-004, endorse STVG application for resurface segment M68.
All right, this is for, we get our surface transportation block grant funds basically through Region 12. The way we handle, the way Region 12 handles that for the counties that participate, we kind of do it's based off percentage basically of what we get, and when your time comes, you can apply. We try to keep it relatively equitable from all the counties. And we are due for submitting an application for some of those funds. So then this would be for fiscal year 27. The last dollars that we receive for STBG dollars would be, we received 750,000 for the N33 resurfacing the Dedham Road that we just got done here a couple years ago. So this would be the next project on the list for using those funds. It's not necessarily the next project that we'll be doing asphalt on or doing concrete on or paving. It's just the next one on the list for using this funding.
And how much did you say last one?
We're looking at 1.5 million on this one.
is that the most we can go for on that?
It is, because you can essentially you can borrow ahead. You
For
can
years?
use, well, it's different than that. It's
Oh,
it's not
this is STP,
S-
right?
STBG. Yeah,
Right,
it used to be STP, now it's
Yeah.
STBG. But yeah, it's really not so much years, it's about dollars, how many dollars ahead you can go. And we're buttoned up with about as much as we can with that. It would have to be accepted and approved by the region, by the other members as well. So
So the other 2.5 million will come from where?
farmer market funds.
It'd be from North Arcadia all the way up to Sackline line.
Yep,
Starting at Arcadia.
starting at Arcadia. We probably wouldn't go through Arcadia, would be just north of Arcadia, just on the north
The
edge.
edge of there.
And then go around the curves and up to the Sac County line.
Okay.
The last time that road was resurfaced was 1997, so.
What would be with the stretch from to Highway 30?
It's not as bad a shape. They'll probably handle that as a separate project at different times, because again, this would be federal aid as well. So another reason to not involve going through town, just make things
I
messier.
wouldn't necessarily talk through town, I thought that.
This, just the southerly stretch. We probably will,
Railroad tracks to the town.
we'll probably do that when we go through town, would be my guess. We could look in at adding it in,
I
but
know, and they're trying to avoid it.
the condition of that road is much better than going north. If you look at how bad it is, there's a significant difference. And we did do some patching down by the,
If you haven't figured out, it's a pain going to.
we did do some patching down by the road tracks last year, I believe, and it helped quite a bit. It's not perfect, but it's much better than what it was, so,
The total cost of the project's 4 million, but you're asking for your share.
Yeah.
right. And that 4 million's a guess at this point. I mean, I don't know what construction costs are gonna do. in the next 5 years, 4 years.
Right.
Straight up.
How far
There
up
you
is
go,
that?
right?
Oh,
No,
no,
over to the
So-
left a little bit.
Yeah,
There you go.
That whole road,
All the way
all the way up to the back.
8.7 miles.
So it's,
Just think about that, 8 miles, 4 million, woo!
that's gone up significantly from what it was. And that's trying to guess on what, costs are right now, plus a little bit of,
And it-
increased for the next 4 years. So
And you've kind of got it figured in at extending the shoulder width too, right?
at this point, yes, we're planning on doing the 4-foot paved
I
shoulders
think
as
that's
well.
probably one that needs to have it done on.
And the nice thing about that one, the base is there, the earthwork is there for that shoulder, so we're not like we're having to build it. So that's a plus as well, but, you're asking when fiscal year 27, it would probably be construction year 27, more than likely. It could be construction year 26, so I mean, we're talking, 3 to 4 years from now.
Wow.
Secure the funding first.
Snail space.
So it's. Unfortunately, that's kind of how it works, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-004. Surface Transportation Block Grant Application, Carroll County Route M68.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. It's a resolution, so roll call.
Houseman?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Miners?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Last thing I had for the board, I just give an update on, we are gonna have a pre-construction meeting this week for the G9 bridge. So I think they're looking to get moving on that. Obviously, we'll meet with the contractor this week and have a better handle on their schedule, but my guess is they're gonna want to get started here soon, so whether that's
Yeah.
probably in February.
Get the old one out of there.
Yep. Yep. So, we'll see what the winter does to us, if we have relatively decent weather, they can continue to work. If it's pretty nasty, then obviously that's gonna slow things down a little bit, but,
When you say they're thinking about taking,
my guess is probably sometime in February, but I'll know more once we have a pre-construction meeting this
Yeah.
week, and we'll give some hard dates and when they're wanting to
You
start.
can't talk to them till the
yeah.
bids
so it's all
accepted.
done.
So,
Anybody have any more questions?
When has there been anything done on that?
we're starting to look into the right of way acquisition again. We're gonna have to update the appraisals that have done. So that's the first part.
Because we're talking about next year.
We'd be looking at trying to get the appraisals done and the right of way purchased. This possibly yet this fiscal year, otherwise rolling into next fiscal year. And then hopefully be able to let the work for the dirt work to actually build the shoulders. Either yet this fall or more than likely probably next spring is what we're looking at, or through the winter, so
Cause keep getting asked about that.
How long a stretch is that?
3 miles.
3 miles. And then wasn't there a RISE project about changing the intersection down by?
Yeah, Autumn County is leading that. I believe that's still going. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but that would just be making a little wider turning radius at that intersection is what they'd be doing, so.
Be done with enterprise.
So, but I have not heard, I know they had to resubmit their application because they changed about how they wanted to accomplish what they're doing, so I know they resubmitted that. I believe that if I got approved, it's just a matter of the timing of when that project will move forward.
Cause that's what it's needed down.
It is, that's probably the worst stretch in the county.
And that would be, you're figuring out widening it and also
Resurfacing that,
two lifts.
yes. We can probably mill a little bit off. I gotta double check the thickness on that, but I believe we can mill a little bit off of that and then put 3 inches back on.
Cause I tell you, I can tell really on some of these roads now, God, they're getting worse. 71, it really got some holes in it.
71's fine. 71 is bad.
Yeah, this freeze thaw warming up and getting cold is definitely,
Now, part of the goddamn rumble strips they put on them seams, I think,
it doesn't help.
it's getting moisture down or freezing, thaw and popping. Never was in favor of them.
Does anybody have any more questions? No, thanks, Steph.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, next item on the agenda is to approve to canvass City of Coon Rapids 11023 special election.
Okay, so last Tuesday, we had a special election for the city of Coon Rapids, one precinct, so one precinct, the results, so I think I'll just say them if you guys are okay with that.
Mhm.
So there was 2 races, one for Thomas Resthaven trustee to fill a vacancy. It's a 2026 term. And the winner is Dan Swalla with 44 votes, and there were 2 undervotes. The other race was Thomas Resthaven trustee to fill a vacancy. This is a 2028 term. The winner is Jean, I'm not sure I can pronounce it. It's Lucht, is that Lucht?
Lucky.
That's hot.
Lucht.
Luck.
She received 45 votes and 1 undervote, so our winners are Dan and Jen. So just looking for a motion to approve the results, and then I have a couple things for you guys to sign.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
The 2 white sheets need the board and the yellow need just steps.
Brittany, if you want to, you can start talking about, when we're going to item number 6, discuss township clerk trustee compensation. I read through the resolution that we kind of could follow if this
Yeah,
is our
those are just a
desire.
couple samples.
Did Leon give you any numbers of what his ask was?
No. No. And I kind of got this because I know we had talked about some concerns about dollars being turned in, you know, if you went with like an hourly rate. And they have addressed it, you know, I'm looking at the one from Delaware County where they just said they're not going to exceed X number of dollars. So I think you could state the per hour and then also the max
So,
of what you would pay out.
and they meet, one of them meets every month, and ours do not do that, correct?
Now.
Yeah, it's the Delaware one, we're conduct one work session per month.
Well, that's
I think
just,
to not
that's
exceed.
for the clerk to do their book work is what they're saying there.
It
That's
says
the way-
all clerks are expected to conduct, yeah.
Yeah, that's, they're, yeah, they figure it takes them that long to. Actually, I do like this idea, then you wouldn't have to worry about the hours.
Sure.
And if there's anything above and beyond that, then they need to ask for permission from us.
So they currently make
35
35,
per meeting,
no mileage.
correct?
And the trustee and the clerks make the same.
Correct. So if you look at the one from Clayton County in section 2, they talk about the clerks compensated for said work sessions. They're limited to 12 per year with a pay of $20 an hour. All township clerks would be compensated $40 per meeting they attend. So they're saying that they're gonna give them $20 an hour, and then down below it said compensation shall not exceed $720 a year. So I think to go for what Leon was requesting, where we have an hourly rate set up, could maybe use the Clayton County one as a sample. I don't think the,
Did we get the
Delaware.
resolution on that one, Courtney?
we
Yeah, I
don't
don't
have
have that one. I just have Delaware, and then I have that,
You
your
sure it's not on
chat
the back?
page.
no,
No,
oh,
I
I
didn't.
apologize. Here, I'll pass this one out. Thought I included that.
But today we're just discussing it. We're not looking for a motion to
It's
change
entirely
it.
up to you.
Because
Entirely
what we
up to
want a
you.
roughed up draft to look at first.
Yeah, I just need to kind of know what you're thinking as far as.
I don't have a problem
an
going
hourly or
to
a
that
meeting
lump
rate.
sum. Kind of,
Like Delaware or like, I've never seen it there.
well, I like that one. Now, if we do this, we say, I mean, do they just update you?
With they turn in their time,
They
just
just-
like they do now,
Okay,
So all 16 townships do it.
correct?
so that stays the same. We're just looking at, okay.
And how often do they meet roughly? It says they have to meet at least 4 times a year, right?
That
They
says
do-
2.
I wanna say ours probably meet on average of 3 times a year.
Okay.
You know, they have their 2 for their budgets and then usually they'll have 1 to
Which
approve
one
their
do you like?
receipts and disbursements for the year.
That one compared to this one.
Why would you tell me why tell them better?
Tell you why.
Yeah,
I like that it has not to exceed.
well, this one does too, doesn't it? Not to exceed $600.
Yeah.
Read paragraph 2.
So which township do you like, Courtney? Or can you send those to that?
Well,
other one after
Yeah, I
me?
will. I like the Delaware one, but I like how Clayton put in what the hourly rate would be for the clerk's work sessions. And then they put an amount in there not to exceed. per
Okay.
year.
So it's a little bit more detailed than the
Yeah.
Delaware one.
Yeah, the Delaware one just talks about per meeting.
Well, instead of an hourly rate, the Delaware, they just give them so much per meeting,
Yeah.
same meeting. cost.
Either one you could do, but I think it, it was pretty clear that Leon felt that there should be an hourly rate, and it does say that in the code, so I would tend to go on the Clayton one and just need to know.
So can we mark one up for next week then?
Yeah, do you want me just to leave the dollars blank in it, or do you want me to put, because we're at 35 now.
For the meeting.
Yeah, and then, if you honestly, a meeting's probably an hour, give or take.
So we're not gonna address
you could-
mileage.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
So you could,
Mm,
say that it's 35 an hour, you're gonna pay him once a month. And I don't know what that would be a year, but.
If I understood Leon right, his complaint was mileage, or his ask was mileage.
Yeah, but if you're,
Coming to the courthouse was his thing. Or not for him, but for the other ones.
yeah, The
No,
only
because
one
if you read this discussion, there's only like 1 or 2 that actually give mileage. And their hourly rate is $12.
Yeah.
So,
So with the flat meeting rate, that mileage could be.
Included in it.
yeah,
and then there's
not to the
other
meeting,
people
but
that
to the
say they
court.
don't pay mileage and they actually have town clerk trustees not even handed in.
Let's mark up a rough resolution and try to pass it next week then.
are you okay with staying with the 35 per meeting, and then just changing the clerk's pay to the work sessions to 35 per hour, not to exceed X number, they did it 12 times. Even if it doesn't take them an hour to do receipts and disbursements that month, then that 35 could also cover their costs and they do come and drop off the paperwork with us 3 or 4
You
times a
should
year.
probably put in there that includes your mileage, right? Something that.
Flat
You're
fee.
saying eliminate the hourly rate then.
Well, you'd have the hourly rate in there, but it's gonna be the same as a meeting. But you're just stating it would be per hour.
I think while we're changing this, would now be time to increase it a little bit.
The Clayton County, I'm not sure. As
I mean,
compared to the
it's-
size of ours, but they're at 40.
It's a small amount, like how many times do it while we're doing it. 40.
Why don't you come up with a rough draft of the resolution and next week we can all come up with our ideas. If we stay at 35 or if we go to 36 or something, 39, 40. Or, I mean, if you want to throw 60 out there, you go ahead.
I didn't say that. I'm saying while we're updating, let's do the
Yeah.
update all together.
No,
one
I agree.
time,
No,
So we don't have to review it next year again. I was thinking.
I would think it probably did need updated. Leon called me on it last year too. and Courtney said she had received no inquiries from anybody else.
No, the only
And
complaint
I would just say maybe change it to 40 or something, just
Yeah,
some kind of
not
increase.
opposed. With a maximum number of meetings.
Yeah.
Because if they choose to meet 3 times a year like they currently do, keep it at that. But this looks like they have to meet once a month.
Well, they're talking to clerk,
Yeah.
because his meet is when he's gonna do the checkbook and stuff like
Right.
that.
Pay the bill.
They're calling that a meet.
Yeah.
I see.
Or work session.
Okay, I'll get a rough draft and then we can hammer out the dollars next week. Okay.
That's Courtney. Yeah. All right, item number 6. The Breda Depot building discussion. We have Rhonda and Chuck Martin here. I know you guys have reached out, John Warden has kind of had a discussion with Scott. And Mike, you've had some discussion as well, so I'm gonna kind of let them
Go
take
ahead.
course of some of the
Well-
information that they know.
You want to give the history of it? Did you guys approach the conservation board about buying it?
Yes, originally, yes, we approached them. And, they were all for it. They, yes, own it, but let's reach out to the attorney, make sure everything was above board. And then that's when we came in back in first part of December and mid-November. And now, Mr. Warden's gone through, done title review, and the county is allowed to sell the property. So. We'd like to buy it.
So the conservation board evidently was unanimous vote,
Yeah,
correct? To,
so I was at the Carroll County Conservation Board last week and they're all for it. They want one stipulation in there that they want, obviously that they'll have to draw new
Survey plat.
survey plat and they excluding the trail. And then they also said that they want like first right of refusal to buy it back in the future was their biggest two things.
so when I talked to John, the way I understand it is the procedure should be you guys would make an offer to purchase the property of the Board of Supervisors. Then we would do a public notice for a public hearing. And then we would also put on there, we would reserve the right to refuse any bid, the right of first refusal, and generally meets bounds.
Subject to a survey.
Subject to a survey, and we do have copies here of the rough lot lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the next step would be to present the board with an offer
Okay,
to purchase the property,
all right. No, we have not been able to get into the north side of the building.
okay?
So I've only been into the south side, so I'd like to have an opportunity to get in there. So I think I need to get a hold of
I
Jason.
think this
and
would be
get
the first thing.
The locks were,
Okay,
the locks were cut, and so I'll need to get a key for.
I went in there Friday, I drove up
Yeah,
there with him,
okay.
so Jason does have a key to it.
Okay, so I'll get a hold of him. So I know at one time Warden was suggesting an appraisal. You guys aren't wanting to do the appraisal.
I'm not on board to
Yeah,
appraise. it.
Conservation communicated to me that they don't know how it could accurately be appraised.
Appraised.
And that's what we agree also.
I think there's enough people in this room that are educated enough in that building or know enough about that building and market rates and what everything's going for that we don't have to have an appraisal.
What we do, it says from County Attorney John Warden, that we need to advertise the property and then public notice that is for sale.
But instead of advertising, I think he said if we had an offer
Offer,
proposed to
okay,
us,
okay.
yes.
Yep.
Then
Versus
we go
putting it
to-
on the market,
Yes.
you're approaching us, we're not
Yeah.
trying to
Yes.
offload the building.
They put an offer on the table.
Yes, that's the first
We
step.
hold a public hearing.
Yep.
And then if there's someone else that's interested, then we have to either have an auction or what.
Well, or we could refuse any bid is what John said too.
Yes. And they want, and a stipulation in there for what you do with the property too, was something that the conservation, I guess, is. And Warden had said,
A request for purpose.
yes.
And the purpose we would be doing a bike rental place and then, eventually, hopefully, a little cafe. Yeah,
So I think in your proposal, I just put in that and then as a description,
okay.
put your price.
Okay.
After you go see the building, you can get a hold of Jason, go see the north side. And then,
Do you guys want to set the date to have your public hearing then?
We probably,
I don't think we can do that when we don't have an offer.
I'd
Well, it
wait for
just
the,
says you do a public notice of hearing on possible sale.
Right, I think you have to do your intent to sell. And then, no,
you guys are gonna offer the board money.
Yeah, we have to have.
the
an
intent to
offer.
sell would be where we would get an appraisal and
Yeah.
you're approaching,
You're approaching us
Us,
wanting to
yeah.
buy it.
Yep.
So you just come up with an offer and.
Okay.
I prefer you after you see the building
me too.
and then,
So
Bring it to
then
the
you
board.
have the public notice after she submits her offer.
right, before any.
which
action is
allows then the
taken.
rest of the public.
That lets the public know. it's-
So then do we need to schedule for us to come back with our offer? Or
Yes.
do I just send that over to Courtney?
I think you could submit it to me and I can give it to the board. I don't think it's gonna be something that's. You're gonna want them to address in an
Yeah.
open meeting.
We
because-
won't take action on it.
Yeah,
It'll-
Right,
But that will get the ball rolling to set the public hearing.
okay.
So you could submit that to Courtney, which will be it, and then.
Yet this week, perhaps.
$3 a month, that's mild.
And the sooner we can-
Yeah, the better, yeah.
Perfect.
All
So
right,
the rough property line that was sketched out comes out to be 0.36 acres.
Yeah, so I want to stay on the south side of the well. The city
Yes,
well
that-
is-
The,
Yeah.
the city own, or the city easement is here.
Right,
So there it would be the 70 feet,
yes,
roughly 72 feet by 79 by 197 by 220.
yeah, because we want to be able to keep the parking lot, most definitely,
Yep.
yep, that would be,
All right.
yep.
Perfect.
Did you see?
Yeah.
Okay,
If you want to put down 0.36 acres,
okay,
On your-
approximate on your
Okay.
offer,
perfect,
subject to survey.
yes. Okay,
All right.
all right,
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
okay. Item number 6, fiscal year 24 compensation board recommendation. I think everybody received that letter from Mr. Michael Franny. The proposed increase from the compensation board would be 17% for sheriff, 12% for the treasurer, 12% for the recorder, 12% for the county attorney, 10% for the auditor, and 9% raise for the supervisors. I just want to open up just a little dialogue so we can kind of go from here. I don't think we're gonna make a decision today. I just want to bring us together and start the discussion. We can throw out some numbers. We do all have a meeting down in Des Moines. I think it'd be good to have conversations with other supervisors throughout the state and kind of see what the trend is. We obviously are all well aware that COLA is 8.0.
2%.
Yeah.
8.7.
The only thing that I'll start this off with, and then, I'm not even gonna put out a percentage there, but the one thing I will say. We have to be very careful. It's gonna be a very hard year deciding what this percentage is gonna be, because. Obviously, everybody that sits at this table represents the public, and we have to be very careful with the taxpayer dollars. On, sustaining these kind of increases going forward, because. It's not just this year, this percentage, it's the year after that, it's the year after that, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. So I think we need to be very cognizant of the taxpayers' dollars when we think about this percentage. I also want to state, I do think our elected officials do a phenomenal job. And I hope everybody can take the personal side out of this. It's about the position, and we can go from there. Because I do think we're gonna have 4 very different opinions. Potentially.
Next Monday at noon is round 1 of ambulance negotiation.
1 o'clock.
So that the ambulance has made a formal offer, and we'll address that Monday at 1.
Yeah, in the past, we've tried to keep these pretty similar, if we can. and I think it's gonna get harder to do that. But I agree with everything that you said. I mean, it's.
There's 9 percentage points between the highest and lowest of the comp board recommendation.
It's really hard when you're in this position to do this right. And I understand costs have gone up for everybody. but, You know, there's one other thing we need to look at here too. There's times, particularly with our salary people. There's times we've had a COLA and we've had put out raises above COLA. That was back in the 1 and 2 and 3 percent. That needs to be taken into consideration too. This is a part where you never make friends.
Nope.
And I definitely, I'm in favor of that we spend, don't get too excited about doing this yet. And I know it's holding up our budget. And I would suggest that maybe we throw a figure in there, if they want to start their budgets. And we can change that afterwards.
Well, I have started the budget and I'm just plugging in last year's numbers right now because
And that's a 5.5,
Plus.
that's what you're plugging in. And I think
I'm
that's,
plugging in the exact numbers that we used last year, because I want to see where we're at. And I don't want to do it all after you guys decide what the raises are. I don't want to try to do it all.
and I think that's a good direction they can start from here. I think agree with that, it's. plug
When
those
does
numbers.
Clark come?
Next Monday.
Because that's gonna be another big deciding factor as well. I can say I'm following in line with what you're plugging in there. As of right now, my opinion is to do a 50% decrease from the compensation board's recommendation. You guys do not have to reply to that. You guys can keep that on your own. I'm just stating that's where I'm feeling.
So what about non-elected, non-union?
Haven't gone there
officials?
yet.
Okay, sorry.
And just to clarify, I'm putting the exact same numbers as we used last year. I'm not putting in 5.5% more.
You're using
I'm
the,
just using the numbers from last year. I'm not increasing it.
you're using a dollar figure versus a percentage.
Correct. I'm not changing.
Oh, you're not
anything.
even adding those.
No,
increases.
because I just
Okay.
want numbers in there, because
Okay.
that's the time consuming part, is entering
Somehow lost
the 10
my
pages of
multiplier, but
multiple.
Gotcha.
So. I'm hoping that when the salaries and insurance are decided, that it will be as good as it was the last time.
somebody took my spreadsheet.
Well, it's,
somewhere.
Well,
I-
had it
I
printed
think
out, multipliers.
you know, from what I've talked to different people, ready that these numbers are all over the board. I mean, they're gonna be all over the board.
I know Crawford County, obviously we all sit on boards with other supervisors, and I think this week's gonna be beneficial, but Crawford County is gonna have a big cut. They're doing a big decrease, huge. They haven't made the decision, but the discussion's out there. I had heard the numbers, but I just told this person in particular that I don't wanna. Yeah, so with my recommendation, we'd be looking at 8.5 for the sheriff, 6 for the attorney, 5 for the auditor, 6 for treasurer, recorder 6. And obviously supervisors is separate. And that's already,
Well, I think that,
keep right with the auditor.
I think this, you know,
No,
I think there's news to extend this discussion more till we get more numbers.
yeah,
Do
I
some
take
of our
back what I
research.
just said, Courtney.
I didn't even hear what you said. I was listening to Gene, sorry.
Cause I want to get more numbers from, have you done any, reached out to anyone, to see where they've made?
Oh,
final?
there's a lot of things floating around and
That's
the
what I'm-
auditor,
Oh, as far as insurance,
oh, insurance? I thought you were talking
No,
about where
just
other
wages.
counties are, oh, yeah, there's tons of stuff out there. but
they're all over the board.
They are, there's a lot that you're like, whoa,
Uh-huh.
what's going on in that county? Cause it's like 15% or something. And then you see one that's 3 and it's like, wow.
Then there's some
So-
counties that didn't act upon some things that we acted upon last year, so their raise increase was lower. And I think they might have gotten some pushback and maybe following some legislation this year, so their percentage is even higher.
I can't say with any accuracy what the average is because it's all over the place.
Yeah. I think this week, I would like to almost table anymore, and unless you guys want to throw out how you're feeling, maybe come back. It would have to be after Clark. That'd be a lot of decisions the next Monday, but we can have a good conversation with all the
He'll be gone.
supervisors.
I think we wanna wait.
I will make one comment.
You do that.
You know, it's been a long time since we had a freeze. We
With
keep getting-
insurance,
No, I'm talking wages.
Nice strike, Vernon.
You're trying to. And. There's gonna be a time where we're gonna have to do this. Because there's no way you can keep sustaining these things, and yet I understand you have to pay people good, and I think. I'd like to think that I've been a very good advocate for the employees. And I like seeing them get paid. But there has to be a realistic time here where. It's getting out of hand. But, and of course, we're in a different world than we ever been in. But I'm throwing it out there. These continue, I can see these years of freezes coming in place.
The
I'm
30th.
just throwing out a warning
The
shot.
what?
30th. If Clark's coming next week, the 30th would be
To have.
We would have-
set.
pretty much all the information, and we should have a feel for ambulance negotiations next Monday. So the following Monday, the 30th, would be my recommendation to take any action.
Mike, any thoughts?
No, nothing yet.
Come on.
So no decision made, but
If-
put it
if
on the
the-
agenda for the 30th.
For number 8. And then, I
And
don't-
9. We'll set it all. Okay. Cause we'll have the insurance, we'll have the unions, we'll have everything, and we need to let the department heads have enough time. So that's forewarning
But-
for everybody in the room, so the pre-budgets will probably start happening.
February.
First of February. We'll probably give you guys a little bit of time to plug those numbers in, because that takes a little bit of time.
Or
But,
do you want them to plug in some sort of raise or a minimum?
well, you suggested freeze, I said 5.
No,
don't
I
know
didn't
what
say
the
it freeze. I said that's gonna come sometime. I would suggest maybe increasing a part of it, so they have a closer idea.
My concern is if you're waiting till basically February to make a decision on salaries and insurance, which I know the insurance is not
Yeah, we can't
anything you
help
can
that.
control. But we have 2 publications we have to meet to set our budget, which has to be certified by the end of March.
So when we
And
have to
that's
have
really
that,
pushing it when you're in February, just having pre-budgets.
so when do we have to have that first publication?
It's like the first week of March.
Plenty of time.
Just giving you guys a little warning. And if it doesn't get certified on time, you're held to last year's levy, and I don't know if that'll,
That won't be able to
I
support,
don't know if that'll help or hurt
No.
us, so.
that would hurt. Yeah, we can't do it before then. There's no way we can do it before then and have all the
Before the
information we need, yeah, before the 30th.
I don't think we're gonna get a decent idea then yet myself.
But I think we need
But we have to for publications.
we need a schedule for the 30th.
I also don't wanna tell them a percentage to plug in
I don't
and then
either.
go back in and rechange it. I mean, it's the same amount of work. So. You could say follow along as of last year, because I don't think this is much off from last year minus 2 of them.
Like what she said, she didn't make any
She's
changes.
taking the monetary value versus the percentage of increase.
Yeah, just leaving it the way it is.
So that way I can just go in and when people, after they've had their pre-budget and they give me their budget before they meet with the board, they can go in and
Change it.
just make any changes.
And there's nothing that says we can't meet on a Wednesday like a lot of
No,
counties do
we're
during
gonna
budget
have to.
season.
I'm-
We're gonna
I
have
hate
to
to say it,
discussion.
probably
We've
gonna
always
have to
done that.
be
We've not.
Just because of publication and it, being that close to the.
And just a heads up, like that typically does happen towards the end of like
Yeah.
around the budget time. We do meet a lot more and then
Trying to
when you're
get
not in the
done.
budget season. All right, so we got nowhere with that.
Yeah, January 30th is a date we got out of it,
Well, we'll see what comes out of next week.
tentative date.
All right. Item number 10. Hi, everybody. Okay, so. Basically what I wanted to do with this, I wanted to pull everybody in now that we have signed the agreement with Batings. As far as a construction. Outline, if you want to help. We have a. Very general basic timeline. We're not going to share with anybody else. It's not set in stone, but I want to have open dialogue with everybody because this is going to. And I don't know, has everybody had time to kind of take a look? Zach, this doesn't really affect you, but you will be coming in through construction, but. Has anybody had time to kind of like take a look at the drawings, know anything that's happening? As far as floor plans, anything like that? I'm just trying to figure out where we want to start.
I have a floor plan, but this is one they talked to me a couple of months. So I
Yeah, it's
would
probably
say-
years ago, a year ago,
Yeah,
when SCH came and talked to. They had a list of people that they talked to. And from my understanding, it was everybody in the courthouse, but I think there might be one particular space that was not addressed. And we're gonna be addressing that next week. So this project. when it first came out, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we received the ARPA funds. Those ARPA funds were earmarked specifically for COVID related things and separating out offices that might be a little congested, like Lisa's, where they're kind of on top of each other. So that money had to be used specifically for things that they were saying, and it was very, very, very specific. So our
Social distancing
Yeah.
and ventilation were two parts of it.
having good air quality. Our boilers are original with the courthouse. So that was the main concern for the board, was to update that. And I think everybody in this room can admit that their system right now, you don't know if it's hot, cold, you don't know if it's gonna work, you don't know if it's not gonna work. So that's where we really focused on that. And it was gonna be great for the taxpayers too, so we didn't have to go out and do like a bond referendum. We have this money, we have to use it, or we send it back. Now, let me clarify. This $3.9 million that we received, yes, we received it from the federal government. It's still not free money. We all in this room paid for it. So initially, that's what we started with. Then the administration changed and broadened the scope. So we could open it up to a few more things. And then they opened it up again. And then they just said it's free for all. So over those times, we were trying to readjust, change, trying to figure out what we could and could not do. We'll come to find out, we can pretty much do anything within relative to COVID, and now it's kind of just open. So what our process was to redo the HVA system in all of the offices, update the boiler, air conditioning. We had an alternate for the roof, because I think you guys all know that the roof has leaked for a really long time. We also had an alternate for Wi-Fi and the cables in the ceilings. We also had another alternate for a wall down in the board of supervisor room. It's
And jail
expandable.
demolition.
And jail demolition. When we received the bids from Batings, we only received one bid. And the reason for that is because the two other companies that were interested in it were from out of town, and they know that with the travel expense, they wouldn't be able to be any comparison to Batings, which is awesome. I love to support local. I think it's great that it's sustainable. So this is going to be a 3-phase, 4-phase prong approach, okay? Whenever you're doing anything in the ceiling or doing HVAC, it's invasive. We're gonna be getting into the ceiling. We no longer will need the duct work because we're going with a whole different kind of unit. So that will be removed. That spurred the conversation of kind of transitioning the offices up here. How can we get the treasurer's office to have more space to accommodate the amount of staff she has? Not only that, but then offering a better space for anybody that's gonna be coming and testing, because if anybody's been over there lately, it's not real comfortable to be taking a test and have somebody breathing down your back. So we incorporated that, which had all conversations. I think SCH reached out to everybody. So eventually this space will be treasurer, assessor, recorder, and auditor over on that side, okay? So then that moves us, and then we'll be adding ADA compliant bathrooms, which this courthouse has needed. Right now, they're currently located in the basement. So we'll be adding ADA compliant bathrooms on this main level. The board of supervisors room will be going down where the old sheriff's department is now. That is going to be almost, and I'm sorry if I'm jumping around here and you can tell me stop. That is going to be almost the first phase of this project, is that lower level where the old
Ground
jail
floor.
is. They're gonna start tearing that old jail out, and that was that was an alternate, but the bid came in good and reasonable, so we are gonna have all that removed. So potentially we can have more space in this courthouse, because space is truly hard to come by. Supervisors will go over here. Currently, Thesha is on that level too, and I will have a conversation with her, what that looks like for her office, because it's gonna get a little loud, taking all that metal. And they're gonna go out that wall, where the courtyard was for the jail. They're gonna try and take everything out that way. So we're gonna empty that space, start working on that level. We're gonna come up with a temporary space. This is where you guys are not gonna like me, and that's okay. We're gonna have to transition some of the offices to go down to keep serving the public, so that they can get into your roofs, they can get into and replace things and do a little bit of a remodel. We do realize that when we have to go in to mitigate the abatement, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tricky on how we do that, because there's also, when they come in, so when I say abatement, they're gonna come in and they're gonna take our ceilings that's got the popcorn on it, they're gonna strip all that down because it's got asbestos in it. We're gonna get rid of any of the asbestos. Well, when they do that, there's a travel expense. So every time we have them come back and forth, they have to reset up, take down, it's 2 days just to set up to do this, because they have to make sure they have good ventilation and things like that. So we're gonna try to, as the board, try to avoid that as much as possible with travel in and out. We don't know what that number looks like yet. But that is gonna be one of the first things in the. Well, not one of the first, it'd be one of the second. We're gonna do that lower level first. And yes, this is very complicated. I'm giving you a heads up. I already started in here. I'm getting removal of documents that we don't need to move. And please, whatever you do, ask a supervisor, ask anybody. We all need to pitch in together. I don't care which department you work for. We all need to get along and help each other as much as we can. Because I think the more camaraderie and the cohesiveness that we have, the better along this whole process is gonna go. So we will have temporary spacing. You may or may not be using it. I know Courtney is gonna be the first one that goes to the temporary space.
And that's because they're gonna start remodeling this space.
Yes, this is gonna be a big, so, and we're gonna try and be open and honest with the public as much as possible, because it also interferes their service as well, because they may not be using the front door entrance. They may have to use the door to the back of the building. It's gonna be constant changing, and obviously you guys know this building is pre-existing, so not everything's gonna go perfect. It's not like the jail where nothing is, they're gonna open up a wall and be like, oh, wow, there's a window or something, whatever that is. So this isn't a rant session either. I know there's things that each one of you guys want. We understand that. There's more that I wanted as well, but we're constricted with the budget. So I'm asking, please be generous with us and be patient and be understanding, and I'm gonna try and help you. I think everybody here is gonna try and help as much as possible. And I want to say a huge thank you to Carrie. We had a meeting Friday. And she also comes with the realization that the space in this courthouse is so valuable. She threw out an option, and I haven't discussed it with anybody yet, but I kind of wanted to bring it to fruition today, if that's all right with you. But she had made the option. And this is what I mean when you say collaboration and cohesiveness. She stepped up to the plate and has offered to, if the board approves, to have her go over to the Fricky building, which then would free up that environmental services space too. I understand that's not, we're moving floors and shifting, but we're gonna have to be very, very versatile in this. But I promise you, the end result will be fantastic. You're gonna have a perfect work, you're gonna have a great workspace. You'll be able to breathe really good air, and you'll know what temperature you're coming into an office for. And we'll be able to service the public a lot better.
Well, that's a great idea, because you're basically, because with public health, that makes more sense than anything. That you're only, yeah.
Now that we're not providing services.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to thank you for bringing that up. I can answer as much questions as possible. I do know, Jason, I know there's some things in the future we're gonna have to do down in your area as well. Again, when I say I wish we had an abundant amount of money to do updates, but we will at some point. You are in the future, so is, you know, there's updates we have to do through this whole courthouse, and unfortunately, it costs money to do that, and it takes time. And when you have to back do some things that haven't been done since 1960, like a boiler, we're gonna have to phase it out.
Well, that's part of the study that we did, was basically a roadmap for
Yeah.
down the road. There's no way we could do all these at one time. And I think, as she said, everybody's gonna have to be patient with everybody. There's gonna be transitions here where we're gonna be moved in and out. They have to move into some temporary office spacing. I would suggest move probably what you have to move. Hopefully, a lot of things can stay in place that you don't need. And we may have to say to the public, we can't get to it now. When we get to it, we'll get it to you. You know, less than. It's gonna depend on how it goes. So I think the big thing for everybody is gonna be patience, because this is gonna be goddamn trying.
It is,
I mean.
it will be, and I
it's gonna-
apologize now.
It's gonna be tough, and it's gonna get on people's nerves. This is not gonna be a fun project by any means, but it's gotta be done. And the problem is, when we do it, we're being so invasive through the whole building to change the heating system. And it would, and actually, the system we're doing is probably the least invasive of what we can get. If we had to go with the whole duct system and everything else, would be a lot worse. So I think this is a good thing, but I think we just need to have everybody patient and, you know, like with the jail down or some of that stuff's gonna be first because we're utilizing that to get spaces to set up for some temporary spacing for people to work on it. So there's gonna be some lot of movement. And,
It's gonna be really trying for the guy that just walked in
yeah,
as well. And Dalton, it's gonna be trying for everybody, so just be patient, and if somebody's short one day, they're short, you know, we're all entitled to have a bad day. I can tell you, yesterday I was in here. Don't get me wrong, I'm OCD, I love this kind of stuff, I love cleaning out, but apparently government documents, it's a lot difficult. A lot more difficult, but I am willing to even go down in the spaces down on the weekends, I'm willing to help work, so. I just hope you guys understand that, and Zach's willing to probably help as much as possible, Dalton's gonna help try to move things. It's not gonna be fun. But,
I have a question.
yes,
So it's my understanding that I'll be moving first so they can start the remodel process. That's which is fine. My concern is I have to basically get everything out of my office.
Mhm.
You know, while another office might be relocating temporarily, they don't have to worry about all their filing cabinets for the most part, and everything. I'm gonna have to gut my space, basically. Where do I go with that?
great question, so,
That's
we,
my question.
no, we brought that up, that's a wonderful question,
Cause then we're gonna have to move that again.
yes.
It'll be a double.
Unfortunately, you kind of get totally screwed.
Winner, winner, chicken.
Well, and
can-
I don't care.
is
I
there
just
some that
wanna
you
know
can
where it's gonna be, I
wait till
guess.
the remodel's done?
So that's the goal. So this conversation came up when Batings was here, and it was a concern as well. So the jail, old jail, everything is gonna be out of it. There's gonna be some temporary stuff put in there, and anything that we need to store can go into that space. And then, once we get your new space done, we can move it back up, but I promise you, I'll be here to help you. I'm not gonna make you do it on your own. Yes.
An option. Instead of moving her stuff twice, why don't I get my vault, put in a storage unit, she can move her stuff directly to my vault.
That is the collaboration we need.
That would be an awesome idea.
That's something we need to talk with Dave, 'cause I'm gonna tell you, that's a good idea.
But they are
But
gonna
part
be
of the
doing some
problem is
stuff.
that south wall is widened out for them. And.
Right.
so-
But just sliding it to the left or right versus moving it up.
Absolutely. I'm on
Yeah.
board with that.
So they're coming next, we're gonna meet with them next Thursday, because I got the
Courts.
clerk of courts are gonna have a meeting as well, and Batings are gonna be here, so I invite anybody to come, it's gonna be at 11, we can discuss some of that, but. Mostly they wanna know kind of what's happening on the third floor, and that is the least invasive space. Cause everybody is gonna have matching countertops and a few things that we're just gonna
Well,
make sure.
there's asbestos on the courtroom ceiling that
Yeah.
gets removed.
They're gonna be, that is gonna be its own animal in itself, is the abatement, but
On the main court.
Okay.
The only space they're not touching is the big.
Okay.
They're touching.
the space everywhere else.
Yeah, everywhere.
And Carrie is with you as well. Reach out to us. I know we didn't get to help you because we were in a meeting when you guys moved the stuff out of the old jail. But if there's boxes and stuff that you need help with, honestly, I'll help as much as possible. And I'm pretty sure anybody here is the same.
Let's cut the stuff in the place.
So I am so excited for that. Whenever a dumpster comes, I will be the first one down there.
Coffee.
You're laughing, but I mean it. There's things down there that needs to go, like they're not even workable, so we can't even put up
No,
with
I'm
20
talking about
hours.
our files. We have a lot of our records in the basement.
So there, we were down there and there's some files that do not need to really move, but along that one wall, I'm not for sure whose they are, I haven't gone back down there. They're gonna have to be moved
The
some.
north wall,
You're in the west one, right?
Yeah.
below the jail.
Kind of depends on where you're at, but I can take you down there and show you, because some of them don't need to be moved.
That's already been handled. That was clerk of court stuff.
Clerk of
And
court's
Zach, you
gotta
did that, didn't you?
In the process.
Yeah,
Done, yeah.
but he's been handling some of that. So there's some records down there that don't have to move because there's none of the stuff up above it.
And that big storeroom, is that the one where everybody else stuff? As far as I know, none of that has to go.
But in the room before they go to where the clerk of court stuff, that's where we keep our, as far as
I know, that was
envelopes
fine.
and stuff, we can leave that.
You have some license plate stuff down there too. I saw that. I was down there, but
We have envelopes and we have our paper.
and Courtney's gonna get me a list of things and I'll be asking you guys, because there's things I don't know of things we can and cannot get rid of.
I know that the, no, not the neighbors have to.
Yep.
I understand. However they get around to us. Well, great. It's good to know. My question would be a couple, one would be. HVAC system, HVAC will touch us in some way, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
because you got a different unit in and they're gonna replace your unit.
Today we have a standalone.
Yes.
Basically, all air conditioning all the time, because there's plenty of heat generated from the electrical equipment with the pump center. It's just cooling, 360.
Mhm.
So during that phase of it, do we anticipate that the pump center is going to be able to remain operational by during that?
Yes,
That's one console for sure is the way I understood it.
we're gonna try and keep you operational as much as possible, and they do understand that it was an AC basically, because we get that all the IT equipment generates a lot of heat, but yes.
Right, and there's actually two HVAC units there. And they are aware of that. Yeah, so there's one for the pump center itself, and there's one for the
Server room.
the server.
Okay.
So that's kind of, then the other question would be, is there any known asbestos abatement in our area? That's going to be the facts.
As of right now, no, because they are drop ceilings. And carpet,
Yeah.
but when that time comes and we have that discussion about your area. Is when that will,
Sure, I just didn't know if there was any insulation that was gonna be taken out as part of the demo for.
not, and Zach, are you aware of somebody?
I mean,
Shouldn't be, but like Steph said, it's be something that once you go to get into it, then.
and we have options, I mean, it's not the best thing in the world, but if there was anything that would come up. The state of Iowa has a mobile communication center. Right? So
I visited it.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but yeah, sure. And so we've trained in that vehicle before, on numerous occasions. It could serve as a makeshift communication center for a period of time. It would be, it would need to be a time measured probably in days or weeks, not months or years, but that's other, we have options. If we anticipate anything like that.
I appreciate that.
We know if there's ever gonna be a need for power. Power to the building, being affected during the jobs that we had. Some instances of that, and we will mitigate that, but that's something that takes a considerable amount of planning. Taken care of.
But at this point, there's no need for that, and at least my understanding. One other thing I think we need to understand here too. We're trying to make this functional so we're still operational for the public. So I think on behalf of the public's benefit, they need to be patient with us too. I think this is gonna be a trying, probably almost 2 years. And but we're trying to make everything still work and flow, but it's gonna be a chore.
Is there a start date?
Is what?
Is there a start date?
Today.
Yeah.
I think on the jail, I think they're gonna put the fence up, the parking lot's gonna be cut off.
I thought I
think
heard
they're
some
gonna-
pounding a little bit ago.
So, yeah, I'm gonna,
That was you?
That was,
yeah, but that's gonna take them a little while. There's also the timing of the HVAC units and supply. So Batings is not gonna start doing something until they know they have all the parts and pieces that they need. Batings has, some juries. We're gonna try and give you an upfront time available so you know, but that could change too. So if they open up into a section of it and they're like, whoa, this is gonna take another week down. But we truly are gonna try our best.
Parking, I could just that parking lot for the jail, but if you do any specific parking that we would need to know about, like when I start doing driver's license. And this.
It's all gonna be out this way.
All of
it's
it.
all, yeah.
Yep, so that where the sheriff used to park their signs still there, they put 2 cones up there today. And then Carrie moved the 2 county vehicles that over there. So really, I don't know if the parking affects you guys, 'cause I think most everybody parked besides Dalton. I think you parked over there, I parked and Scott. So we just have to park in the front.
I got your right, so I don't know if you brought this up yet, the intercom.
Yeah, Zach and I had conversations last week. There's an intercom at the store. There's police departments, got a sign for after hours. Need to summons an officer, somebody runs up to the police department looking for help. They're directed to go to the store and use that intercom. Do we expect that the store is going to be no longer accessible to the public during the phase of the project?
It will not be, yeah, that area will be fenced in, so that will be eliminated.
So Zach and I we started some discussions on trying to figure out what an alternative means of notification. For most things, telephone works, but we've had people who have been involved in a domestic assault.
And show up.
Don't have a phone, run to the police department for help. Most recent one was during the day, so they were staffed, but that could happen in the middle of
At
the night
night.
too. And so we just want to have some call box alerting, some way for the public to summons an officer if they run to the police department or courthouse.
I would say that definitely needs moved then, because that east is gonna be their
And
construction.
then we get to the point, it's old.
It's old, so I
So
think
we're better off just leaving that on there and then we're putting a new one in on the south side. We were thinking south side.
I was just gonna say, where were you thinking back there? Or-
Between the library.
Which would be a better overall solution for the public anyway, it'd be easier for them to find. So my recommendation would be it's just a permanent change.
Okay.
And I've got a call with the police chief, they're connected on that, just Friday, we started talking about.
Is there something on the sheriff?
So I reached out to them, when you go into their doors, that summons the jailers, so it doesn't get you to the comm center.
And as part of, I think, their intercom system for the whole jail. You wouldn't have somebody that would be trained to provide medical instruction. If somebody came there, you wouldn't have somebody who would be a.
Directly from the jailers to
Exactly.
you.
Well, there is a direct link to the jailers, but jailers aren't trained to handle emergency calls for service and they're not. Now we're playing the telephone game. Once in a while it happens. What usually happens though is the information that they take is then relayed to us and, if you're playing telephone game. Things get changed a little bit, and by the time we get to an officer.
I say south door.
Yeah, once you
Yeah.
guys.
But we're working.
Okay, perfect.
I'm gonna call it the Feld Fire, they're gonna be getting back to me, and who's meeting with them, just kind of go over price, what they think it would be and whatever that's.
And I didn't get a chance, but I didn't talk to all the kids here, if there's something. As part of the county phone.
Yeah, I wanna-
Courthouse phone system.
Would Dalton be able to do something like that or not?
I think maybe the city's phone vendor would be somebody we can reach out to, if the courthouse phone system, and see if they have.
The tricky part's gonna be, it's actually. When you go in those south doors, those doors that get next.
They don't
have
lock.
a lock. So basically, we're gonna have to have something outside on the building, because you're not gonna be able to let them in. 'Cause then they're
Not into an entryway before
Or,
it does it.
or the alternative would be
Put a lock on that
put a
door.
lock on the inside door, put a lock on, there's a door that goes down to the basement that never gets shut. And put a door on there, but again, then you're gonna have to figure out a remote way to buzz somebody in.
Do you think they would go by being going to the police station right across there? Probably doesn't make sense on the south side. Yeah, because they'd go to the city police station first. Okay. Never mind, I was thinking.
I think our best option is to kind of talk to Felds, and
Yeah.
see what they recommend, what they think's gonna have the best of luck being out in the weather, all the time, and let's go from there.
Well, come on, let's see. Who knows what it's gonna get.
But yes, that east side will be eliminated as a way into the building from the public, so.
And also, feel free to reach out to us about questions too. Zach's gonna be abreast to Courtney, just because she sends us everything from Batings. Jerry, the contractor, has my cell phone number. We're gonna try and have communication with you guys as much as possible. Any other questions? Perfect. Did you guys wanna, I don't think we have to make a motion or anything on that, just a discussion, correct?
Get your hard hats ready.
Okay. Item number 11 is committee reports. I'll go first. Last week I had the Republican meeting. And then I went down to Coon Rapids to take a look at some dilapidated properties. And then last week I also met with St. Anthony's, CCAS, and a few of the a doctor and a director, in reference to our ambulance services and transfers. I also have Region 12 where they nominated me as the treasurer. Yeah. I also had the city manager interviews on Saturday. That was a very interesting process. And then I attended a jail inmate transfer. This upcoming week, I have a radio and newspaper, I have conference board today, a daycare meeting tonight. And then I will be engineering for the ISAC's newly elected school board. Any questions?
What did you say after conference board? And before ISAC?
Daycare. I also, have these Region 12 auditor statements. If you guys want to look at it, Courtney, these will be your copies. The elected officials, or it's all in there if you guys want to take a look at it. If you guys have any questions, just let me know.
I trust you. I'm gonna next. Tuesday, Stephanie and I met with Lori Pedic at St. Anthony. And then we came here and met with Tony Bading. And at noon, Gene and I attended Carroll County Growth Partnership meeting. Wednesday, I met with the county attorney and went to Manning at 5 o'clock for the executive board meeting for the Solid Waste Commission. And after that was the 2023 annual commission meeting. Thursday, met with a couple of members of the Board of Health, Stephanie and I, along with Ambulance Director Webker at St. Anthony's. Friday, secondary roads lunch at noon,
Oh, yeah, that too.
city manager candidates at the winery Friday night. This week, I am late right now to an RSVP foster grandparents meeting, and I will be at ISAC New Officers School Wednesday, Thursday in West Des Moines.
I'm sorry.
I'll go next. Last week on Monday, went to Conservation Board meeting. One highlight is they're gonna start that trail in April. So they're cutting some trees down now. They brought up DNR road plan to redo the road around there, which is a 5-year out. The repave the road around there.
3.7 miles.
Yeah. They're 5 years out on that, so they're getting started on the funding on that. And then on Friday, I went to the luncheon for the secondary roads. And this week we have a meeting at noon for conference. And the newly elected
Officers.
Officer.
Was that Wednesday, Thursday?
Yep.
In the morning. And that's it. Next week I'll be gone. For the public notice.
Okay, I will, go next. Tuesday was at the Carroll County Growth Partners Board meeting. They had a very good meeting there. They had an application and that they talked about a business. But one of the things that what they're doing is right now, they're trying to set up some funds from private investment for different grant
Revolving loan funds.
revolving loan funds and stuff like that. So I thought it was a very good discussion that way. Then on Wednesday had Rolling Hills, mental health up at the Holstein. We did have the same request here and we couldn't do that request
Staples
because of, yeah. And well, we did go through the budget. We did not totally prove it, but we're basically online. And she came in with a figure way under her
Or
for wages, and we
Okay.
told her to revisit that because we don't want her to wind up shorting herself
is that Dawn?
in the whole staff. But went through all the reports. One of the things that the budget's not gonna be quite as bad as.
Said that.
because she found some money that she had put in there for the transition on it.
Yeah.
Cores, so that's. She used some of that up, so we're in better shape than what we thought, so that's that. And then I did get a report from her that I haven't had, that she. HHS supplied to the legislatures. I just kind of glanced, I didn't have time to read the whole thing. Again, they're gonna throw the counties under the bus, I think, it looks to me like. Well, then. Then on, Friday was the secondary roads launch. And then I did also finish up the first round of scholarships for the ISAC, I got that done. Then this week, I have a conference board here at noon today. And then on. Okay, come on. I have new officer school this week and also on Friday. The Cherokee detention from the board meeting on Friday, up in Cherokee.
Party next week. Park.
Sorry, I've got two calendars.
Yeah.
That's not a week after. Is it?
It's next week, Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Yes. Courtney, I'm gonna attend Board of Health next Wednesday at noon.
That's,
Yeah, but I won't say that till that's not next
that's
week.
fine.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not.
a week from now. Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Beth.
Next Monday, we have a bill day. I believe we'll do something with the union proposal with Renee.
That won't be during the
No,
meeting, that's
no,
at
no,
1
no.
o'clock. That's
I
a
thought you
separate,
guys were gonna accept that they sent a letter,
Oh, yeah, except
the proposal.
they're,
oh, at the board meeting, okay,
the exchange of.
okay,
Because I think the board approves that and then you guys make your counter.
Okay.
Yeah, she'll have probably a counter sent out to you, I think.
Employee handbook. And I'll be honest, I did not get an opportunity to send anything out to anybody because yes, last week was just crazy.
It was a lot.
So I'm gonna work on that this week, try to get the wording down and send it out, just.
does this red line what the
All I'm gonna
proposed
say
changes
is
are?
people are aware.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Well, I think Jean did a very good article.
The libraries will be here around 9:30 for their funding requests for next year, and then Clark will be here at 10 for the renewal. And
So we've got a lot of them that do get, we've got new opportunities, cities or Carroll County Grove,
probably, we've
the
got.
library.
There's a lot of them done. but there's a few
Yeah,
big
we've
ones
gotten a
done.
lot of, we've got to Region 12, we've gotten their stuff, we've gotten like Carroll County Grove Partners, that name. CNC is so much easier to say. We've gotten all that stuff, but they haven't scheduled with me, so that's another thing I was gonna try to do this week is go through and see who hasn't been in. Get it scheduled, usually they will get a hold of me, but I haven't heard from them yet. Anyway,
Motion to adjourn.
There's nothing online. There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Welcome to your first real long meeting.
they don't get much longer than that either. So.
No, they don't. And there's not really that
Have a
often.
good day. See you guys Tuesday
Thank
night,
you.
maybe in the morning.
Wednesday.